All right, what's up, guys? We got another week here of looking at these markets. We got gold and pound Aussie for the week of December 5 through the 11th. We're going to just dive right into this. So last week we had really nice gold shorts. We had very quick spikes into these daily highs, which were highly anticipated. So as soon as price got in there, we took advantage of those opportunities. And this week, I'm pretty much looking for the same sort of deal. I'm looking for a spike into these daily highs, which we'll look at on the lower time frames in a minute. After we spike into here, once we see price tipping over, sell entry, and the target is going to be these lows down here, pretty much 1750, which is a good psych level. If we end up breaking this week, we will continue the trend next week to these weekly lows of around 1720. But for now, let's stick with this week, and we'll go to the 4-hour. So this is that spike that we got in last week that we had marked up if you watched last week's video. And this week we're pretty much doing the same thing. So if I wanted to draw a trend line to these two, what I'm looking for is that third spike up before the continuation. Very similar to what goes on here. You know, you always get 3 spikes and then a drop. See 1, 2, 3, continuation 1, 2, 3, right? 1, 2, 3. I am expecting it to be a quick spike. I don't think it's going to spend a lot of time in this area. I think once we get up in there, definitely going to be looking at the lower time frame and entering and watching that. So I'm just going to dive right into the 30-minute zoom out. As you can see what happened here in the matter of, where's my button? Come on. Why isn't it doing it? There we go. In the matter of just a few hours, we shot up almost 200 pips. And as soon as we got up there, we spent an hour and a half. So looking at these 3 candles for the peak, right? This is a 30-minute time frame. So we got into these levels. We really only spent 1 hour in this area. Entries could have been placed here, and then it absolutely dumped. Same thing. This happened. It was Tuesday, I believe, or possibly Monday. I think it was Tuesday. We watched this on the 5-minute, right? We spiked really quickly into these highs and then absolutely ripped it to the downside. And that is exactly what we're looking for. Again, even here, you can see how price was chilling here. Huge spike up, dump down. We actually got a second test by around the New York Open, and then we dropped. So price for gold typically always moves around the New York Open. So that's around when I'm going to expect this spike to happen. I do think it's going to happen early on this week, and I'm definitely going to be aware, ready for that. We have the levels of this high right here and this high right here. Ultimately, I think we're just going to spike above this high to take the stop losses out of people who sold right here. We can also mark up the fib. It's the 0.6 or 7.78. Is it? I never use that one, but which happens all the time with gold. You can see when we entered here, if that fib was lined up, you can see we hit that 0.786. Normally, I will use the 0.618 because that's the golden ratio. However, gold specifically likes to throw big spikes, which is why it typically will go a little bit higher. It'll retrace deeper than what people would think. For an example, you can see price dumped here. So people looking for a pullback, starts moving back, right? I guarantee you a ton of people were selling right here with their stop losses above this structure. And look, they got taken out. The reason why we sold up there last week actually was because we had these levels marked right here. So you can see these equal lows right here on the 30-minute, on the 10-minute. It's a little bit more clear. And you have these highs right here. So that's why we are expecting that spike there. And now we are expecting the same sort of movement here. So a lot of people are probably, as price sets up tonight, even if it looks bearish, you know, it might look bearish. It's probably going to come back up here and spike above everyone's stop loss that they have placed right above here. It's going to fill all of those stop losses, and we're going to enter with the banks at that point in time. The target 1750, so roughly 400 to 500 pips, depending on how high we can actually enter. So very good opportunity with gold this week. If you look at the price action, you can see we get the initial entry, pullback, continuation, entry, continuation. That's what I think is going to happen, except we have a new week. So I think we're going to spike higher, take these people out, right? Just as we were just talking about, push down, corrective structure, maybe second entry, push down. So that's what we're eyes are on gold looking for. Let me delete all of these lines. Pretty simple, not much to it. Just looking for that third spike around New York open tomorrow morning. In the instance that price actually breaks this and continues up and doesn't just come up and spike down and start rejecting, the sell entry will probably wait. You know, we always have to be prepared for the flip side. However, I don't think that's going to happen. I do think we are going to come up here. We're going to spike. You see how we have these 1 hour wicks? I think that's what we're going to see here. It's going to be quick. You're going to have to be ready and watching, and be prepared to enter right when that opportunity presents. Real quick, matching with that, we can see if I pull up the fundamentals, I don't have it on here yet. The unemployment rate dropped, which is good for the US dollar. And if we look at the daily, I'm really just looking for the overall trend. And we can see we had a huge move up. We did pull down. We have failed to break this level for multiple days, and we've slowly started creeping up. We do have a little bit of rejection from the upside. I believe that was caused from the bad NFT numbers. However, we're looking at the overall picture here, and the overall picture for the dollar index currently is moving up. So I would love to see that continuation occur, and that would help bring gold to the downside. Go back in here. So only looking at 2 pairs this week personally. I like to just focus really hard on these and get really in tune and in sync with them, and just bang them out with you know, good risk to reward. So pound Aussie, last week we had incredible buys at the bottom of this wick right here, which we can see on the lower time frame. We'll get into that. However, this week we are approaching these past weekly highs, right? We're in the weekly time frame. Ignore this big candle that's Awanda's doing. That didn't actually happen. What I'm expecting is some sort of pullback down into these levels. Before we go to the 4 hour, as you can see, we have a huge push up. The next immediate candle, huge bearish, right? Even right here, huge push up, next candle. It's not all the way down, but still that's 200 pips. So that's kind of what I'm looking for on this side. Even if we don't close the week down here, similar to here, how we pushed down and then the week actually closed back up into almost the open. that would be totally fine. But the target for the take profit is going to be down here. Same on the flip side. See how we pushed down really heavy right here. Then the following week made a wick, right? And then we pushed all the way back up. So I think we're going to get something similar to that. I'm expecting price to make a wick above this high. This is a lot of pressure. I do think it will try to come up here. As you can see, we got the high of this week. Let's go into the daily. So looking at the last time price has reached these levels, every time it comes in here, besides when it blasts through, it makes wick, right? So this is a really quick daily wick, right? 3 wicks. This whole time it couldn't stay in there. It didn't close in there. It was wick. Same here, right? Rejected the bottom of it. We made a wick. So that tells me there's a lot of activity going on in this level. So what I'm going to be looking for is price to come up in here and not stay there that long. Similar to gold, how we're spiking up. I don't think we're going to stay in this range long. As you can see what happened last time price was in here. It started dumping right here, and I guarantee you a ton of people sold here. And I can also guarantee you their stop losses are right above the structure. Guess what happened? Banks said, there's a lot of stop losses like right here. Everyone and their friends sold. We're going to take all of their stop losses out, and then we're actually going to dump. And that's what happened. Actually, I remember we did sell that. I think we got an entry as it was coming down here. And I remember entering 2 more times during this chop before it dumped. Same with last time. See how this is the hour time frame. We didn't spend a lot of time here, especially right here. We grabbed a lot of liquidity and dumped. Same here. We actually chopped around the area for a little bit, but we didn't spend a lot of time above it, right? There's a lot of wicks in this area. So again, that's what I'm expecting price to do. I'm expecting to see price come up in here. And then on the 10-minute, we can watch the structure and take entries from there. The target, back out to the daily, the target is going to be this open right here, the open of the previous day and the low of the previous day. I don't think we'll get this move in one day, but over the course of the next few days, I am expecting that downside move. Probably going to take partials here at 879. As far as pips goes, that first take profit is going to be 160 pips, and the last one is 230. So we're looking at that range about 160 to 230 pips off this move. And again, it could close back up here. That's totally fine. Possibly buy down here. It all depends on what happens. So last week, what happened was we had this level marked up. And as soon as price hit that level, it started moving back up. We hit the buys, and the target was 1.88 even, and that got smashed. So now we're looking to just simply pull back into this range, right? And looking on the 4-hour, you can see starting over here, the flow, see how we get a big push and then a pretty decent pullback, and then a big push and then decent pullback. Same with here, we have a big push up and then a pretty heavy pullback. And we have that one more time here, right? And even right here, last week, we actually had a really nice push up and then it pulled back. What is that, like 200 pips, 170 pips? So this move right here isn't anything out of the normal. It's not huge or anything like that. And just based off of seeing this flow right here, we're at, like, if this moved down, my eyes were at this stage right here. So we're about to pull back. Whether we continue from here or not, that's to be determined. I'd totally be open to the idea of buying once we're down here, but we can definitely play this move to the downside. So we're simply just waiting for price to get back in this level, which is currently 50 pips away. I would not be surprised if this daily candle is somewhat of a doji candle. I wouldn't be surprised if, we had a lot of bullish pressure. If we stall for one day, that doji would create a spike up and down up here, then it would move down here, would close back, and then Tuesday after, or yeah, I guess technically Monday night after swap, we would come back up again to make that wick, and then we start the continuation to the downside. So we'll see what happens, but definitely looking to sell as we tap into these levels. That's really it. That's all I'm looking at. Just these two: gold short opportunity and pound Aussie short opportunity, and then a possible buy opportunity after. It all depends on what type of pressure we get when we're down here. But that's what I'm aiming for. Once we're down here, I am going to be a little bit more buy bias. Just to take a peek, let's take a look at crypto. We have some pretty massive spikes going on. It dropped from 57 to 42,000 in 2 days. Pretty heavy corrective move. We are going to be testing the structural level. 41,000 seems to be like a pretty nice and respected spot on both ends. So we respected it here, broke through, respected it here, kind of chopped around a little bit. We gained it as support. Then we pushed up. What's up? Now we're pushing back down. We'll see if we gain support here. Same with, pretty much every crypto follows that. My thought process on this, it would be pretty crazy to see Ripple come all the way back down here and Bitcoin, but I could see this definitely here. Let me show you. See how we dumped right here and then we kind of paused for, this is like 2 months. Yeah, this is 2 months. I would not be surprised if we just kind of chilled in this area for the next few months, which is a little bit disappointing. That's mainly for Bitcoin. Ripple is having some pretty extravagant news come January, and sometimes Ripple detaches from its connection with Bitcoin and it does its own thing. And I think when that time comes in January, February, and March, I do see Ripple exploding into the atmosphere, into highs that we have never seen before. $3.50 is going to be nothing. That'll be support. But that day will come in 2022. So before you end, does anyone have questions with gold first? Anyone wondering anything? You can see last time, look at the timestamp on the bottom of the chart. Okay, it's in the morning. That's when the spike happened. Same thing, look at the timestamp, it's in the morning. That's why I have this line here. I'm definitely going to be getting up early just in case that spike happens early. That would be very cool. No questions on the gold short. That's what we're going to be doing, guys. Everyone in this chat, when price of gold gets to 1794 to 1800, we will be selling that. As close to 1800 as possible will be our entry. If we get something like this, and let's just pretend this black line I'm moving is 18 is, let's say pretend this is 1795 and we just keep exploding, and we're not going to enter at 1795. We're going to wait till it starts tipping over. As soon as it starts tipping over, entries are being placed. I got to move that line back. So that'll be interesting. And then if anyone has questions with this analysis, the sell from these levels, from the top level down. Once we get in here, you can see we have a lot of buy orders in here. So we're definitely going to be looking to buy once we get back down to this level. And just for the fun of it, we're going to throw the Fibonacci. We're going to get the correct Fibonacci out there. And say we come up to this top level. If you look at my cursor where it's at, right, that would be the top of the move. That would put the Fibonacci right where it needs to be. It's always fun seeing that line up like that. You know, we got the zone, we got the daily open, and we have the Fibonacci all in the same exact area. It's not random, it's not coincidence. It's meant to be like that, and we're meant to sell it up here. And then we're probably going to be meant to buy it down here. So we'll keep eyes peeled for that buy opportunity. But for now, we got to sell. That's all I got. I'm only looking at these two pairs. 2 trades on pound Aussie and 1 big old short on gold. This should be pretty good. All right, I'm going to stop the recording.